So Diana Zollicoffer is a BFF alum. So this is her second year here, and we've actually collaborated for the last 6 months on dropping this whole NFT conversation for Film 3, so all for filmmakers. We have a couple of other panelists with us today. I want to invite Jordan Baines to the stage. And Manushka Guerrier. Manushka! I haven't seen you since now. But I'm going to give it over to these wonderful ladies and friends. Oh, is Brooke Lacey here? Come on up, Brooke. I did not meet you either until now, but thank you so much for being here. And I will give it over to you all to kick it off. But I'm so excited to have this conversation today. And thank you, Diana.
Thank you. I want to say a special thank you to Bentonville Film Festival, to Gina Davis, to Ashley and Wendy, because when they tell you guys as you're meeting and greeting and talking to them that they want you to stay connected with the film festival, this is what it means. Because I literally had a conversation with Jordan about NFTs and filmmaking, and I was like, I have to pull over. And so much information, and then I was like, you know what would be a really great place for this is Bentonville, and I basically sent an email and said, hey guys, remember me? I'm an alumni. Would you guys consider a pitch for a possible panel? And immediately they said yes. This is what we want our filmmakers to do, to stay involved, come with us with creative ideas. And the festival has basically definitely put it to work, and I appreciate that. So hats off to you guys. Thank you. Okay. It's interesting, this world of NFTs, and we're just going to be ourselves, brass at sometimes, very honest, and we're going to try our best to explain some of this and talk about it the way Einstein said, explain it to me like a 5-year-old, but we're going to explain it to you like a Gen Z, X, where were we now, Z? Oh God, yeah, so we're going to say it with, what the fuck is an NFT?
It's WTF. It's WTF is an NFT.
And I say that because there are a lot of different anagrams in the world, and then that's part of it. So this is where I'm going to hand it over a little bit over to Manushka. I'll say this, we've been friends for forever, sisters, and working on a lot of different projects. And it was actually Manushka who, all through COVID, was, when COVID first hit, was trying her damnedest to get me into the world of NFTs. And what was that space that you guys were using?
I love how you didn't preface it with how you were trying your damnedest to get me into stocks, into the stock market. And I was like, this is gambling. This is just stupid.
Yeah, because I was like, you got to invest, you got to learn how the market, because I think, this is where I feel I was lucky with my dad. He felt and was all about empowering women, and he was like, sit down, I'm going to show you how to write a check, how to pay your bills, how to save money. And so I was always interested in investing, and and I saw that as a way for us, to protect our future. So I kept trying to get her into understanding the stock market and all of this other stuff. I do have a bit of a financial background. I used to work for Chase Manhattan Bank at the UN. I was worked privately with UN members who were stationed in hot zones, which meant Bosnia, Uganda, just a lot of different places, and we were handling their money. So that's a little bit about me as well, and I kept trying to empower her to, for her future, and then COVID hit, And then lo and behold, she basically George Jetson me. I was still Fred Flintstone on the dinosaur, basically, and she George Jetson me and got really involved in the NFT space. And from that, looking at it and seeing it, it's one of those things, every market has its ups and downs, and a lot of people get scared about that and not knowing. But if you are smart and you kind of ride the wave, buy low, sell high type of
By
deal.
the dip, by the way, I know there's a little bit of a bear market right now. Yeah, you should be stacking in your ETH right now, for sure.
Yeah.
Who
doesn't know what stacking
buy
your ETH
the
means?
dip.
Okay,
Buy
we'll get to
By the
dip.
dip.
Yeah.
This
is
is
the
such a
time.
dip. This is the dip that happened when Bitcoin went from 20,000 basically to 3,500. It's happened again. Buy the dip.
Buy the dip. So, and that's what people do with blue chips. They buy the dip, and one of the reasons also why a lot of like Teslas and Amazons doing these major splits, 20-to-1 splits, because they know this is the time where people are going to buy the dip and get stronger. And the other thing too, we're not giving you financial advice. We're just giving you information.
NFA, not financial advice.
Exactly. So do your own. So don't come after me. It's like the same if I was talking to my friend as I'm washing, doing her nails or something, but like, oh, girl, did you know about this? This is me being your best friend saying, hey, did you know about this? And so what happened is that then I started to kind of see the space because there were filmmakers that was using it as well. And then, from there, thinking, because as a filmmaker, and one of the hardest things is raising money. How do we raise money? What's a new avenue? Oh my God, people are so tired of Kickstarter campaigns, what's a different avenue? And I just kept seeing all of these different filmmakers that were raising money this way or finding ways of distributing this way. So there's a lot here. So we're going to start with the basics. Brooke,
I'm not
what
basic.
is an NFT?
So we have to kind of go back a little bit. So I am from the technology world. You have to excuse us. I've been traveling for NFT conferences for the
We're
last
just an NFT and we've
we
seen
got
all of
in
them
this morning from New York, and I talk too much. So we have to go back. I've been a technologist for the better part of 30 years. Got started in the 90s. I think to understand right now what an NFT is, like what it means for everybody, is to understand why it came about. So like in 2008 with the financial collapse, I know a lot of us had friends and family with 401ks that blew up, and we needed a solution. And that's where Bitcoin and blockchain came in. So I'm really focused on blockchain. What that is just a different way of storing data. Your computer, when you go to work, everything's stored somewhere, and it's centralized. Now we have this cool thing called blockchain that makes it very, very secure, and very much you're able to own that data. So then everything kind of went from there. It started with Bitcoin, that's digital cash, and then everything else from there is what's known as an alternative coin. And these things are, they're answers to problems. We're definitely in the Wild West. So when we get to this point, right, Bitcoin was first, and then something called Ethereum happened. And that was more of a way to create something that wasn't just cash. It was you can transfer value this way because you've written some code to do that. So what an NFT is a solution to an ownership problem, especially in the film world. I know that's a huge thing here. I'm consulting with a couple of companies now that want to get into this. Musicians, artists, that's kind of where this all came about, was art. Now we can own the intellectual property, we can own the art, and we can trade that, like trading cards. So it seems so silly. It seemed silly to even us a year and a half ago, like, you're buying a JPEG? What? Like, it's not lost on us that's very, very, very silly. What you're buying is the underlying code that makes it yours. That's it. And you get we were able to consume that information. Then Web 2 comes along, and we were able to consume and contribute, like blogs. And now with Web 3, it's about like consensus. You can community, collaboration, and with these particular projects, yeah, you can use it as a Kickstarter. There's definitely financial, reasoning here, but a lot of this is artists taking back that control. We're solving an ownership problem. So, and then we shill you JPEGs.
Okay, so in layman's terms, because I just came from New York and I was walking up and down Canal Street, and those fake purses look really real. They look really good. Yep. Now, do I buy it because I just want to show all of y'all I have a Chanel purse, or do I go to Chanel and buy it so I have that certificate of authenticity?
And I think that the point is in many ways is the resale value, right?
Correct.
So fungible is $1. You can trade that for 4 quarters. You cannot trade a non-fungible token for anything else because it is its own unique thing, and the value is inherent there.
And also in that authenticity is saying that it's yours. You own it.
Which is something that's so difficult for filmmakers. So with this great new technology and just way of being, where we are eradicating the starving artist narrative, and artists are able to create the things that they want on their terms, on their dime, and have full, complete ownership.
I did say today, and this is a very broad and very politically impactful statement, but self-sovereignty never felt so necessary as today.
Amen.
Provenance.
Amen. So why do you feel like it's important for women to get into this space now? Because quite often with things, whether it's money, financial investing, film, production, distribution companies, and so forth, you always feel like it's a boys' club. Do you feel like this space, honestly, feel that this space is an equalizer? How do we keep control of that being equal across the board for women, BIPOC, the LGBTQ T community? Is that something, or are we on Fantasy Island?
It goes back to when we started this conversation and I brought you into crypto and you brought me into stocks. You had the education available to you from your father. See, women were not encouraged to learn anything about finances. So, I'm someone who has a problem asking to be paid when I'm owed money, because it's just it's so ingrained in me that I don't own I don't know. It's something that we've always just had an issue with, because of patriarchy. And now with the promise of Web3 is that we have an opportunity to come in and build from the ground up. So therefore, it's not a group of pale, male, and stale men creating algorithms and opportunities that only benefit themselves. So it's more important than ever. I also think the pandemic highlighted a lot of things, like how we can work from home. There's nothing that I love more than listening to a Twitter space or a Clubhouse room and I hear a baby in the background. I'm like, she gets to do her job, being a mother and being a creator, So there's that aspect. There's the financial freedom and generational wealth which has eluded marginalized people in general, and women as well, and just having that financial freedom where you're not worried about your husband taking care of everything, or your father who left you something. It's something that you understand and you own it. So when you get involved in these communities, which a lot of us gather on Discord, which if you have kids, that's kind of like where the gamers like to hang out, or some of you guys like to hang out. but we've been able to keep in contact with one another. So then you're meeting like-minded people through a project that you're building together and you want to see take off. So there's just like all of these elements that I feel, and all of us on stage, because that's why we're in it, it just caters more to a woman's understanding, sensibilities, and talent.
And also, to that point, you read the reports about how a woman is paid so much less than a man, or like the differences in races, as well as the payment thing. I have to say one of the things that I enjoy about the initial, wonderful, everyone was FOMO or whatever, fear of missing out and getting on. There are a lot of women behind a lot of the most successful NFT projects and drops. And, for a while there was kind of anonymous and they were winning. Do you feel like that's still happening? Are we still in that? Is that part of this equalization? Jordan, you're shaking your head. Talk to me.
I mean, listen, I agree with what Manushka said, and I know Brooke's probably got a lot of experience, more years than I do. But here's the thing. I think it's 5%. 5% still. And it's 5% of the directors in Hollywood are women. 5%. Think about 95% and this. So it's unfortunately that, yes, the creator economy can be a great equalizer. It can be. Is it right now? No. Why? Because, and I'm getting ready to say it, cisgendered, hetero white men came in with bigger bags. They had the bags. They could buy the Bored Ape Yacht Club. They could flip it. They could talk. They knew about it before it even came into play. And then you saw lots of PFP projects coming around. And so in a minute, we're going to start talking about the world that I know very specifically in this is film. Okay. And I will talk about what I see happening there as well.
You kind of, because I had a question in regards to that, and about the fact that where initially the space was of no one left behind, we're all in it together, and then for the longest time, the Fortune 500s and the big guys kind of stayed away, from it, and now they're in. Do you feel like there is still a opportunity for the little guy to get in, someone that is still very curious about it, versus, what happened with Bored Ape and a lot of the other thing, the plots and the lands, where it was the prices were so ridiculous that only they could afford it.
If you want to get into Proof, which is one of my favorite projects out there, if you didn't know the guys from Proof, you weren't getting in on Proof, and therefore you didn't get in on Moonbirds, and you didn't go to the moon.
And those guys are VCs.
Exactly.
So we have to remember that this is innovation. There is no precedence for any of this. So when we talk about these names of these projects, it just means that they're out of reach for a lot of people. So is there room for smaller, essentially startups with maybe no venture capital? They're funding it themselves. Absolutely, there's room for everybody. It's just how hard do you want to work, and how much do you want to put into it? I always have to say I come from the technologist background, and I've been in a heavily male-dominated field, but I just made my own way, and I'm really, really interested in getting women who have a little bit of technology background into Web3 development, because that's where the guaranteed money is.
She's being very, very, very humble. She's a unicorn. There's so few women who do what she does and does it well.
Us. All right, so let's get down to go back to some of the basics. There are terms out there we hear, like NFT, but then as far as you hear the word gas price, and we as regular consumers think of gas prices as we're going to the pump. So explain to us who don't know.
It's literally going to the gas pump.
How does that work in the NFT space?
It's a financial transaction that has to be moved through the blockchain, and in order to do that, something called a node has to do that for you. You're not going through a bank. There's no centralized, banking system. You're using a cryptocurrency. And so in order to do that, there's this, network. That's what cryptocurrencies are. It's just a big network of computers doing the transacting. And so in order to do that on the Ethereum blockchain, it's like it bogs down. If we all want to buy something and there's not enough room in the network, then it's going to be a higher cost for me to get it first. So it is gas.
Okay. So again, going to the basics, how do you buy crypto?
You want to say it again? I feel like
I'm letting you guys do the basics. I got a lot to say about that.
how do you buy crypto by exchanging? Well, so there's technically 3 ways, but there's 2 main ways. The first one being mining, which most people don't do.
Which you should look into.
Yeah,
doing,
you
by
should
the
look
way.
into.
Make some
We
good
actually
money.
built a Bitcoin mining computer in 2010. No, I do not have that Bitcoin anymore. It's probably in a hard drive in a landfill somewhere because we just didn't really understand it. But it takes energy to be able to mine these digital coins. So, excuse me. In order to buy a crypto right now, you would exchange your dollars from your bank account into an exchange called Coinbase, or there's lots of different ones, but we'll just stick to one. Coinbase is the most heavily used, and you literally just buy the same amount of Ethereum, whatever the coin is, Bitcoin, with whatever dollars you have. And then you start thinking of it in the amount of that crypto. 1 ETH is 1 ETH. So Ethereum is the blockchain, which is the underlying technology to make it happen, and ETH is like the ticker on a stock. That's the actual coin, so ETH or BTC for Bitcoin. So then you have it in your wallet. It's a digital wallet. Excuse me. And then when you go to buy something else, like on an NFT market, you're just exchanging that ETH that you just bought for the code for that NFT. Have you glazed over at this point?
Okay.
How many of you even have a
I
crypto
gotta
wallet?
Exactly,
say,
that's the
it
next
is much
question.
better to hear it from a woman, to be honest with you, because when I first heard it from men, it was like the teacher from Peanuts. Wah, 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 wah,
No
wah.
offense to you.
All good.
How many of you have a crypto wallet?
How many? Okay, wonderful. Okay. And are you guys, which wallet are, I'm sorry, which are you using? Do you have a cold wallet, a hard wallet?
Do you have Coinbase?
Coinbase,
Do you have MetaMask?
MetaMask. Okay.
That's good.
Do you have a
Good
ledger?
for you.
Oh, okay. All right.
So the way that we look at this is like Coinbase, if we want to keep using the word bank, Coinbase is like the bank and you can keep your stuff there. Then we've got this thing called a MetaMask, and that has to go into your internet browser to be able to, it's like the debit card of it. So it doesn't really hold everything for you. It's just a transfer mechanism. So when you go to the NFT marketplace and you go, I want this, then you have to move the actual stuff from the bank into this holding pattern of a Chrome extension, and then that's what connects you to, just like when you have an extension like the Adobe Reader extension, it connects to that window. Same thing with this, what's called a MetaMask, but it is non-custodial, so you are in total control of it. You have to make sure you don't click on the wrong things. Again, security is such a huge thing. It hasn't caught up yet. That's something that I'm working on night and day with my devs. Security. It's not regulated.
So let me take a moment to introduce our other panelists. And it's special because, one of the reasons that BFF has gone into this space is because they, offered their services to help create their NFT and will be doing and facilitating their minting. All right, so why don't you take a moment, since we've already introduced ourselves, to go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, everybody. Sorry I'm late. Today is my daughter's birthday, so we're running around doing birthday things
Happy
all
birthday.
day. Yeah. I'm Joe. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Society of the Hourglass. We're an NFT project built on Web3. We're on a mission to recreate the magic of Saturday morning cartoons with our community. I'm working on an animated series, some books and things like that. Some of my co-founders, my partners at Cartwheel, built Hashku, which is a minting platform. To your point, we're helping the festival with their NFT, and yeah, just really excited to be sharing the stage with all of you and hopefully adding to the conversation.
And at the beginning of each screening, that was your work. That was with Sarah.
Yes, yeah. Sarah, the artist, did an incredible job on the artwork.
I was just with her in New York.
Yeah.
Her stuff
We're
was
all-
in Times
Oh, you in New
Square.
York too?
We just got in like 2 hours ago.
Awesome.
We got Sarah because of Manushka.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Yeah,
Sarah's
it's incredible.
everybody's
Her
friend.
art was up on Times Square.
So Sarah basically, guys, is like the rock star of...
She is a rock star.
She's a hometown girl. She's from Arkansas. She was known very well as an illustrator, and she came into the space full on last year, and she's been just crushing it.
She came in with the alphabet in the calligraphy alphabet, and I wanted the J so badly, and I didn't have any bags then. Bags meaning Ethereum, and well, not really. Did you see the market lately?
Terrible.
Yeah.
But
Anyway, Sarah's script is awesome, and you should follow her on Twitter, and she is just wonderful.
And another plug for Sarah, one of the Bentonville T-shirts, the one that's in calligraphy, is Sarah's calligraphy. So we are big supporters of Sarah.
And that's another reason why I love the collaboration and community part of Web3, is that I wouldn't have been able in any other shape, form, or capacity been able to meet someone like Sarah Script and develop a relationship, and the way we all have as well, with these really great connections that we've been able to make. We speak to one another every single day. So whether it's about the projects that we're doing, or the projects that we're looking into, or the things that we want to buy or flip or sell, it's you're making money with your friends, and it's beautiful through art.
Yeah. And also with Society at the Hourglass, why did you decide... I know because you're also an Arkansas native.
I am.
And you are familiar with Bentonville. But there's also a why. Why Bentonville? Why this particular festival? What was your motive behind that?
Yeah. So yeah, I can't say I'm an Arkansas native, but I've been here long enough to say I'm from here.
long?
About 15 years.
You're a native.
Yeah. So yeah, just absolutely love Northwest Arkansas. My wife and I have lived in Rogers, Bentonville for a long time. We didn't necessarily plan to stay, but just fell in love with it and haven't thought about leaving. We've got 3 kids now and raising them here, so like this is home. So as we think about how we kind of build out our legacy here as individuals, and also like I'm an entrepreneur too. I've been building business here in Northwest Arkansas for a long time. Like I want to lean in to my community and to the ecosystem here. So as we started getting involved in Web3 and NFTs, and I mean, it's new enough, like we're all still learning, right? Like there are no experts in this space yet, despite what people may tell you. I think it's just people that are more willing to learn openly and be wrong.
Some have just gone down the rabbit hole a little farther.
Totally,
than others.
yeah, that's exactly it. So I'm going down the rabbit hole too, and as we started thinking about the things that we as a team were passionate about around storytelling and just creativity and community at a scale and just an intensity that I'd never experienced before. I think that was a thing that really sucked me into NFTs and Web3 to begin with. We felt like there was a really cool opportunity to do something a little different, like rather than build something that was hyper-focused on maybe some of the more speculative aspects of Web3 and NFTs. We wanted to build something that could get people really excited and just energized around telling stories. And when you think about telling stories, like we all bring our own perspective to that, right? And when your whole team like looks like me. That's a very narrow perspective.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, it's real though, right? Like, so I think it was important to us to acknowledge that. So, looking at, if you look at the characters on our collection, a lot of them are based on real historical figures. But it was important to us to not just focus on like the same historical figures that all of us growing up in like America or Europe probably learn about. So we've got Nefertiti and Queen Nanny from Africa, and all these characters that a lot of people have, and myself included, had never heard of. And it felt like a really cool opportunity to just tell stories that were focused on different things and from a different perspective than we've experienced ourselves. And being able to pull the community into that and just kind of learn together as we're building out the characters and the storyline has just been really, really exciting and fun.
Yeah, do you want to touch a bit on that? Because that's what a lot of the NFT projects like Akutars and Nuclear Nerds.
Yep.
Like I'm part of Riverdale. I'm one of the
She's part of
characters
the
in
Archie world, guys.
Archie world.
they minted an NFT of her.
You don't understand. That was my first comic, so this is like crazy. But you're creating these projects where everybody, the holders are telling the story. So that's another, because I'm very curious about you in the hat, because you said you answered yes to everything. But have you thought about using NFTs to fund a film? Or
I would love to jump in on this.
Yeah, I was going to bring you.
I would love to jump in on this because I've spoken about this over 100,000 hours at this point. So I founded the NFT Film Squad in February 2021. There was no one in Web3 and film around until we discovered David Bianchi in April, and he minted his first, what he calls Spinema, in a short film on a platform that gave him enough file sizes, enough of a file size that when he compressed it down, it still looked cinematic, right? So I'm going to just jump really quickly to what it looked like for me to be the only person out there trying to bring on filmmakers. I understood that we started on Clubhouse, we started the spaces, and we started talking to people once a week. Now we do it 4 times a week because we this technology moves so quickly. And I've spotlighted over 100 of these projects coming in. On Monday, I threw a party in New York called the Titans of Film 3, the people that have been the core of this movement, and the Film 3 movement, I'm the lead architect behind. So what I want to say is that if you want to talk fundraising, we've been talking fundraising. If you want to talk production, we made an announcement on Monday on how we are now moving into production for filmmakers and how they can do it in a really innovative way. If you want to talk about distribution, then I can tell you exactly what we've been talking about. We did 3 panels on it in Cannes a couple weeks, forever ago in NFT time. So there are a lot of things that like there's a lot of alpha we can give you right now, and certainly I can give you case study after case study. The one thing I will say is there's something that a lot of filmmakers don't think about, and it's something that was really, really cool. I realized I had to do a case study. So I put together, and based on file sizes, right? So OpenSea at the time, a year ago, only gave us a 50 megabyte file size. Your filmmakers, you shoot in 4K. 50 megabytes is not going to do it, right? So then I looked around. Super Rare, I still think, is like at 50 or 100. Known Origin was 100, and they're gated. Makers is gated, but they were giving 600 megabytes. Zora was the one that gave 500, was ungated, and was the one that was really, really supporting an incredible woman named Natasha. With her, she dropped, I think her last music video she dropped was, she got 13 ETH for.
When ETH was higher.
When ETH was at 4,000. So in other words, again, that's a 500 megabytes. So I knew that in order for me to keep the cinematic experience that I wanted as a filmmaker, it had to be short, it had to be able to be compressed, And I had to prove that you could tell a full story and not just one scene. A lot of people were just putting a scene up, right? But a full story. And I'm super proud to say that it was put in exhibition by Claire Silver and Accelerate 2 in NFT NYC this past, as the only film that was there this past week. But if you go and look at it on Zora, which is where it's streaming, so you don't have to go to Vimeo. You can go to Zora. It streams beautifully. I shot it in 4K. We compressed it under 500, and it still gives you a cinematic experience. In fact, I think you'll see a tiny bit of a trailer in a little bit. Yeah. But here's the deal. It is a one of one. Now think about this. It's a one of one. It's a piece of fine art that got collected within 24 hours. So I didn't fund it with NFTs, although we can talk about that. Mm-hmm. I made a one-of-one piece of art that got collected by a collector. I own the IP. I could take it out to a film festival if I wanted, right? I own the IP, but I have a collector that owns it too. That's kind of cool, right? So and she paid money for it, and she paid good money for it.
So with that approach, because did you go in thinking that you were going to sell it as a one-on-one, or do you ever do some filmmakers sell scenes or moments or
Sure.
pieces? So
here's the thing. At that time, it moves really, 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 really fast. We have a joke called NFT time. I knew I was going to do a one-of-one. It was a real strategic thing. Mm-hmm. I knew that I didn't want to do additions. I knew that it was going to be historic. And that's why it got collected by Claire Silver, who's a legend. I knew that. And I also knew that feature films had to be different. And so cutting to January, so this is me writing in August. I dropped it in January. It sold. It had immediate bidding war. Same time, Julie Pacino dropped Keepers of the End. She actually dropped it, and this is a fundraising. Her NFT collection is 2,300, I think, photographs. She used these photographs, which she went to the location where she's shooting her film. She had no script. She had an idea. She took photographs of the idea of the film. And then she made those photographs, and then also you have to understand the word utility. Each of those NFTs was an individual NFT that you could collect as a collector that comes with the utility that she offers. It's far more than Kickstarter rewards. Mm-hmm. Utilities are the thing that get me most excited about this, ownership and utilities. So it comes with these utilities. She sold out in January. Red Flags, my film, dropped in January and sold. And then Miguel Faust. Yeah, Miguel dropped his in March. Now, Miguel, let me tell you, Julie has raised $1.1 million without a script. Miguel had a script, a short film that HBO picked up that did really well. He took those frames from those short films, and he also created different tiers. He brought in artist collaborations. In other words, there are many, many ways that you can do this. You just have to use your imagination, and you have to have a community that you want to bring value to. Listen, guys, don't come into this thinking, how can I extract value from my community? Come in thinking, in 10 years, how am I going to continue to add value to my community? Because that's what Web3 is about. That's what Film 3 is about. So Miguel's raised $600,000 right now. He's still minting. And the really cool thing that we dropped on Monday at the Titans of Film 3 event was that Beam, who's a distribution platform, Beam XYZ, is going on set with Miguel in September. They are getting a house, and they're going to be basically doing the reality show of making the first European film funded by NFTs, the day in, day out, fly on the wall thing. So this is the production side, and they're going to be offering a super viral thing. If you pick up one of the, it's a token gated experience. If you pick up that token gated, very cheap $20 NFT, then you can also get 4 popcorns. And those 4 popcorns you can gift to people, and it becomes a viral thing. And so it's an experiment. It's super cool. But that's the production side. And then there's Flinch, which is a franchise. The film was already made. He did a PFP project. I mean, it goes on and on. Like I said, there's a lot of really innovative, super cool people, and I've interviewed most of them. And I'll just back away from the mic now.
Can I also add a footnote here? Julie is Julie Pacino, Al Pacino's daughter. She would have had, or people would assume, have various ways of raising money to get the projects that she once made, and it was through NFTs that she was able to get hers.
Yeah, because I had a conversation with Julie, and she talked about how hard it is, like no matter who you are, to get your film made. And she found this innovative way to basically be in control. I don't have to go around begging anybody or knocking on anybody's door to get the project that I want made.
I would like to just say that Tony Tai, another really amazing filmmaker, she came on my OG space, the Twitter space, and she said, dignity, that's the word. It gives me dignity. I don't have to go beg.
Exactly.
It gives me dignity. I can own this and create my own community, and my community and I, we build this together.
And the community gets so much more. I mean, think about how many times you've invested in a TV series or a movie series, right? I mean, you show up on opening day, you show up every week on time, you know, to watch your favorite program. But are you being compensated for that? Has that been a financial investment for you? It's been a personal investment, but what else has it done for you? So at least with film coming into the space, we've created this win-win situation between the creator and the consumer, the holder. And this is something which even more plays along with female sensibilities that will really work in the financial sector, because I feel like, you know, tech has always been such a huge boys club. Finance has always been such a huge boys club. And with NFTs, we have both tech and finance, so it can be like really super crazy overwhelming. But at the same time, it's like we have the opportunities here to really get the things that we want made done and adding to the economy. Now, with what they're saying, by 2025, if we're able to onboard as many women as we are attempting to. So thank you again, Wendy and BFF, for having us here, because it's really important. There's talks right now going on in Cannes. There are talks right now going on in New York City, talks right now going on in Austin with women, because it's really, really important for us to hear at this time. But by 2025, we're looking at $43 trillion that we add into the economy.
And also, because you guys are here, Jordan is basically, you know, have you picked your secret word yet?
Oh.
I say that because make sure you follow her on Twitter.
I wanna wrap this into what everything, you know, what Manushka's talking about is a creator economy. No matter what you feel about the Bored Ape Yacht Club, they created an incredible creator economy.
Boy, and I got to see Lil Wayne and Snoop and Eminem perform last night.
Yeah, they're unbelievable at Ape Fest. But the thing is that if you were that guy that couldn't, or girl that couldn't get, you know, a Bored Ape Yacht Club, or you couldn't pay your rent, but you decided to do that, and you didn't sell it, and you had diamond hands, and you became a millionaire, and then you got airdropped. This is the difference between Kickstarter. You got airdropped a Bored Ape kennel dog that suddenly had immediate value because the market said it had value. You got a mutant. The market said it had value. You got a piece of land. And suddenly you were a millionaire or a multimillionaire. And it was concentric. It's the win-win. Yeah, the creators won, but so did the holders. The holders won big time. So me at the NFT Film Squad, all I think about is how can I take filmmakers, bring us together as a community, and how can I create this kind of creator economy that's sustainable, that we live sustainable lives, right? And I mean all of us, but especially I mean the underrepresented and the marginalized who haven't had their voices out there. How can we create that same thing, right? So it's so important. I'm so passionate, and I so want you to be onboarded as a filmmaker and take baby steps. So these guys are talking about NFTs and how to onboard. Yes, you are going to need a MetaMask. Yes, we are going to be here after the panel to help you with that. But the one thing that I can, and you're going to need a MetaMask for the two things that I'm going to offer you today. One is there's this thing called a POAP. And if you have a POAP on your, if you don't have it on your phone, download POAP, POAP.xyz. You'll get it on your phone. You open it up and it will say Mint. Now you're going to have a MetaMask for this. So if you don't have that yet, don't worry. We're going to help you. You're going to hit Mint and you're going to put in the word, all lowercase, inclusion.
Remember that, guys.
Inclusion. You have 24 hours to pick up this POAP. And that means that you were here, and that, for many of you, may be your first NFT, which is really, really super cool. And then the other thing is, for 3 of you, if you saw my tweet, and if you're not on Twitter and you're a filmmaker and you want to get into Web3 and Film 3, we live on Twitter and Discord. We really live on Twitter. That's how I know who Manushka is, because we have so many friends, same friends, all in this world. That's how I know Manushka is going to be the chef, I hope, at what I'm getting ready to announce.
Oh, we all have other lives, too. We'll talk about that as well.
But anyway, I made this announcement in Cannes 10,000 years ago in NFT time, but I think it was like a month ago, that myself, the NFT Film Squad, along with DCP Pictures, that's Roman Coppola and Leo Matchett's company, and Beam.xyz, are throwing the inaugural Film 3 Summit in Los Angeles in September, and we are giving away 3 tickets to that to anyone who's in this room, follows the NFT Film Squad on Twitter, and retweets that tweet. Go find it. You'll find it under Jordan
I love
Bain.
you gave them homework. Like
I did. No.
Like the first experiential one.
But it is. You have to be self-sovereign in this. So it is.
Honestly,
I love this.
Homework is necessary because there's so much information coming at you, and and they find that people retain information if it comes with action. So how many things have you gone to that you don't remember, those events? But if it was something that required you to do the next step, action is required for change and for retention. So, yeah. So, yes, you have homework. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing because, sometimes I would get people, because I'm very open. I share a lot of stuff. I'm always willing to help and talk to people because I want people to share and talk with me. So, I'll get people that'll call me and be like, high schoolers or even older adults, like, I've never made a film before, I want to do this. And I'll give them homework. Because our time's valuable, and it's like if someone comes back to me and said, oh my God, I read the book that you mentioned, or I watched a movie or something, I'm like, okay, so homework is very, very important, and it's not a bad word. Also, over here, we're part of our commitment to you and onboarding and also being there for you is that there's a book over here that asks if you want to participate, like your email, your social, because there's a possibility of more giveaways later. Also, we have NFT, the clinic NFT, that have offered us NFTs that they're willing to airdrop to you. And we're going to be doing that as well. And also with what you're learning here, because I know we're talking fast, there's a lot of information. I plan on, helping putting together a list of basic glossary terms and so forth, and like sites that you can just go get some more information and do your own homework as well. So it'll help us help you if we know how to contact you as well. So, yeah.
And also oh my gosh, where are the words? They're in my head, but they're not making it to
left
my
him in
mouth.
New York.
They literally landed at like 10:30 this morning. From 2 weeks of events in New York.
I'm not going to lie, we didn't sleep last night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, we did not. Clinic NFT. So I mentioned earlier about Discord. So if you stick around for the workshop, we're going to use their Discord as an example, which Jordan mentioned a word earlier, utility. Now, one of the utilities of the Clinic NFT is that it is focused on mental health awareness and support. And their community is building a way to have this clinic be universally available to people, because they're really trying to eradicate the stigma against mental health, wellness, and well-being. Camille Dargan, who created this NFT, she used to work at Meta, Google, and Uber. So if there's anybody who knows like the craziness of being a woman working in tech, it's her. So I feel she really has the tools to help people navigate this space a lot better and to keep mindful of your mental health. So
And
I'm
the
really,
artwork
really
is
grateful.
beautiful.
And the artwork is stunning. So I'm
The
really
artwork is
grateful that
beautiful.
that BFF and the clinic partnered up for this. And hopefully it'll give you guys a better understanding of how communities work. And then Jordan also mentioned you got to be on Twitter. So, we'll share all of our handles and any questions that you guys have, we'll follow one another. And
Also,
we'll keep
I
you guys
want to make
posted.
sure I'm going to show Jordan's trailer, and then we'll come back and let you guys ask us questions, and specific questions in how it pertains to filmmakers, or if you have general questions about the NFT world. But we would love to get some filmmaker questions, because we want to know, how do we distribute, how do we what are the basics of using this resource for our good. So we're going to show your trailer.
Sounds great. Is it only mine? Is the only trailer?
It's only yours, girl.
Oh my
It's
God.
all-
All right. It's only 30 seconds.
It's really quick, but just, yeah. And this is the trailer that you was just talking about. Red flags. How many dating? Is that a different panel about red flags and dating? Okay, so Jordan, tell us why.
Yeah, so thanks for looking at that. So Red Flags is what I was telling you guys about. It's a one of one. It was shown for the very first time. In fact, I've never been shown in an art gallery exhibition before, but it was chosen by Dan Sickles, part of Accelerate. Dan Sickles is an incredible filmmaker who's actually dropping an incredible documentary on Web3 and on the innovators of crypto art, as it was called back in 2017. With Claire Silver, who happens to be my collector, who's a legend. And it's beautiful to see people tweet about it this week, because it's a social impact film. It's about intimate partner violence. It has a trigger warning on the front, which is why we didn't show the whole thing, because I didn't know who would be in the audience. But it's a powerful film. So I could use NFTs also and put out a film on social impact and have someone collect it. And again, I own the IP. Claire paid to be the collector of this piece of art. And you can see it on Zora. You can stream it as easily as you can stream it on Vimeo. And that gives me, as a filmmaker, I'm very happy to just have it sitting there. I was paid for it by a collector. If she ever wanted to sell it, and I honestly don't think she will, but if she ever wanted to sell it, then I get 12% is what I put in my smart contract on secondary sales. So again, in perpetuity. So if I were to, and when I do die, my estate will continue to get royalties. So think about Van Gogh's estate never seeing who he became after his death and that kind of money. But the thing I want to say to Julie Pacino's project, as a feature film, when she sold out, she had only made 800,000, right? People traded. So they traded and their value went up, so they made money if they were a collector. So this is what's really cool about this. This is far better than Kickstarter. They made money, and Julie made more money. She got a residual that took her to 1.1 million at this point, and that can keep going. People keep trading like trading cards. It's a beautiful way to have a sustainable living, and that's what my intention with the NFT Film Squad is to try to create that kind of creator economy for all filmmakers.
So do you guys have any questions? Okay.
It's not regulated and it's sold, you said, like 12% residual sales. Are you in charge of keeping track of that, or is there any type of oversight?
The
secondary?
blockchain. Everything's on the blockchain.
Everything, yeah.
Wait, I didn't hear the question, sorry.
He was asking for the.
There's every trade that goes on the blockchain. There's a Etherscan. You may want to, Brooke.
Is that what you were asking though?
Yeah,
About
like how do you keep track of it?
How does he keep track? It's trustless. It's
code.
fantastic.
It's literal code on the blockchain. So I love the word blockchain. It sounds like a Marvel character. But it's because it's immutable. It's unhackable. There's a way that this code is put together where you can't go back and change it. And that's why it's not called centralized. If we have a central server as a coder, you can go back and make changes to, I screwed up, so I can go back and make changes. The blockchain, that's it. You deploy that code and it's done. And so the next block of data, that's why all of this is so secure. So I don't know if that's answering your question, but it's there.
And you'll see the numbers anytime you check your portfolio or you check your OpenSea. You'll see what you've made on the secondary. You'll see what you've made when you sold it. It's all there, and it's public. We all can see it too.
Yeah, and also the other thing too about what's great about that is that Julie had the first thing. She sold it. This person bought it. This person bought it. It makes me think of the Fabergé commercial, and I told two friends, and so on, and so on, and so on, and so on. And so with that, it's like immediately she's getting, it's not the creative production budget where, we made no money, because but she knows that, that revenue is there, and it just keeps coming back. And the person that sold it, also gets their portion as well.
Does that answer your question, sort of?
Sort of, it's
What-
all the world to be, so it's like, for someone who's not, like you said, trying to extract with no effort, just to jump in there, but as a way to make a film that you can, like you're doing, where you put your film out there for the world to see, and you've got a collector to buy it, but you're saying, I still own that product, but they own those, maybe the rights to it, like I don't see how.
Well, I own the IP, right? So by owning the IP, it's the same as a painter. They will own the IP, but someone comes in and collects it. So, I mean, it's super experimental. If I wanted to monetize it, if I wanted to sell it to a distributor, let's say, I would, this is me, this is my choice. I respect Claire so much because she decided, she's such a believer in all of this. It's done, I mean, she's done amazing things in AI art, and she's a big advocate of the blockchain and NFTs for artists, right? So, but she knew that it was going to be historic, and she wanted to put it in her vault. I respect that so much that if I were to monetize it, I would absolutely monetize it 50-50 with her. But if I wanted to, if I want to go out and do something with it, like I want to go show it here at Bentonville, I can. I don't have to ask permission. I own it.
And also, so the interesting thing is that Julie did it one way. Jordan did it a different way. David did it, like they're all of these different,
David and I approached it like fine art. Julie, Miguel, and so many other projects that I could list for you, but they, and honestly, my feature film, I'm waiting because the next part of the case study, so Julie and Miguel, Julie was the first that was funded with NFTs, the first film. Miguel we have a real joke about being the first in the NFT film squad. And Miguel will be the first European one. I'm going to stand on their shoulders, and I may not. Now, here's the thing. I may not go 100% because there are a lot of super cool hybrid companies coming in that let's say that I don't want to do my financing 100% in NFTs. I don't have to. I haven't decided that yet because it's so experimental, but I do know that I'm going to wait until they get on set, and that because once they get on set and they actually make and complete the film that was funded with an NFT, we're going to go stratospheric again, just like we did after let me put it to you this way. I dropped the word Film 3 on March 23rd in MySpace. In Cannes Film Festival, I spoke on 3 panels on all of this. One of them came to me while I was in Cannes and said, hey, can you come speak to me on a panel about Film 3? That was 6 weeks after I had dropped that word. That's how fast it works. Someone I had never met had said to me, did not know that I was the architect behind that word, had said to me, will you come speak on a panel on Film 3? That means Film 3 is a movement. It's a movement. And it's here to stay, and it's going to be massive.
And also the other thing, too, that's interesting as filmmakers, photographers, artists, it's like you can do your art, right? And then let's say Coca-Cola or somebody is like, oh, I like that, I would like to use that. That's what
Rolling Stone did that with a Bored Ape, like the huge inflatable ape we just saw the other day. That Rolling Stone owns that. So you have the IP of an asset. You can choose how to market and brand it. So that's another way of.
And then from your aspect of the educational aspect of, teaching people about people in history, people of color in history that most people don't know. You could take that and go to universities, right, and say, hey, I have this.
That's what's cool about all of this. Like you forget who was talking about it earlier, but just this concept of digital ownership over the IP. We know this much about its potential because it's so early. Like we're still figuring out all of the ways to apply it. But already we're seeing so many fascinating use cases, and it just makes the world bigger for everybody. Our artists are able to benefit and sustain their work and their lives based on the work that might have gone unseen previously. So it's really cool to be a part of that.
You're actually reminding me of something else, another whole aspect. So again, it's like all the different variety of ways to do it. Some people want to own the IP. Some people, like the hidden ones, are doing CCO. That's really interesting, right? So, and one of the things that not just them, but some of the other projects, it's like, okay, you own that avatar, let's say. You can actually, Non-Fungible Films is doing this. So Non-Fungible Films they see themselves like a studio, like Marvel and like Disney, and they came in with a lot of money, and they're doing amazing things. So they have what they want to see happen is if you, let's say, own an avatar or something from one of their projects, then you can take that because you have 100%. I think this is the CCO stuff, which is different than the licensing. So you have 100% of that. You can go and you can make a backstory for your character, and suddenly you've decided to make an entire series that is going to be yours, and you own that, although it came off of this project. So that's one way, and that's different than licensing it, right? Or for like me, who decides to own the whole IP of one. So there's a lot of different ways that you can approach this: exclusivity, licensing, and CCO.
Yeah, and we're even kind of straddling the middle of that. So we've approached it from a perspective of co-ownership over the IP. It's non-exclusive, so we can go and build stories on top of these characters. So in Society of the Hourglass, only a small number of the collection is historical figures. The rest are all generative new characters that we're introducing to the world. So we
I see
share
you have
that
a
IP.
question.
No, go for it. Right. Yeah, that's a great question. I may not be the right person to speak to that.
No, you can't.
You
You can't use Disney. We have something called DMCA. It'll just get completely pulled off of the marketplace, and then you're SOL. I mean, I have seen some people get away with some pop culture stuff. Like we have a really good friend, Warhodl.
I was about to say Warhodl.
Right? He makes these amazing NFTs about actual like moments that we're going through in the space using the Campbell soup can by Andy Warhol. So it's like you got a play on the name plus on the artwork, and he's fine. Yet. A huge aspect of our space is derivatives, which I think it's hilarious how you keep talking about Claire. I made her get her first NFT was a Larva Lass, and it's a Larva Lass of Claire's cyberpunk. So I was like, that's your first NFT, because it's cheap and at least it's an iconic look. So there are like, okay, so we've been mentioning Bored Apes and how popular Bored Apes is. And while they do have are they CCO as well, or just IP?
No, they're not. They're licensed.
Okay, they're licensed. Okay, so there are some holders who have created their own projects out of it. Like right now, I'm a Hape holder, and Digimental, the artist behind Hape, is a 2-time Ape holder, and he wanted to do a 3D version of it. So his project is fine. It didn't like completely take away and steal the artwork. Of something that belongs to somebody else. So does that answer your question?
Also, another interesting thing was the restaurant, like the burger.
Oh yeah, but that's.
But that was his NFT that basically was off of that artwork, and then he basically took it to another
correct,
level.
because he owns the art. So of course he can use that as his logo. He owns it. But I was more like you were more asking like if you wanted to do something that like had Disney or like Marvel, you can't do Marvel work at all.
It's just like
there are ways to go about it.
I would not take the risk. I would not take the risk. If here's what happens. You decide to take something and you think it's a derivative, but it's not enough, right? It's not that 30% that makes it Creative Commons, derivative, CCO, all of that stuff, right, that they talk about. And you decide to do additions so that you can raise your money. You have a community that believes in you. They believe in you. They buy it, and then it gets ripped down. And they no longer have that JPEG that shows
I mean, we
their
still
token.
have it. It's on the blockchain.
It's on the
just not on
blockchain.
OpenSea.
And no one's going to buy it. Yeah. No one's going to touch it. So I wouldn't take the risk. I would say we're all original. We can come up with some original things. Just
Well, I think that goes back to your earlier point too about just how experimental everything is right now. Like
totally.
you've got artists and teams that are kind of seeing how far they can go and what they can get away with, and so that specifically is something we talked about a lot because on the like risk, like how risk averse are you is really what it comes down to. So we just had like an arbitrary rule for ourselves, like we're not going to pick any character that was alive within the last 100 years. So we're well into like public domain. We reasonably good chance we don't have to worry about estates coming after us if we monetize these stories. And I think intent matters a lot too, right? Like we're not trying to go and exploit anything. We're trying to teach people about what's happened and tell new stories and entertain and have fun. Like there is no one answer to the question, which is I think you're hearing the spectrum of perspectives.
Yeah. And this is the world. Like it's the great conversation. Any other questions? Yes.
I'd love to dig a little bit more into the idea of editions for films. I'm not sure I can possibly explain to an audience what the value is. Like, let's say you made a one of one. I get that as a concept because I get that the one is collectible as a piece of art. I'm not sure I understand what the audience gets in exchange for a one of 5,000 or a one of 500,000.
Well, okay, so I've got a couple of examples. And it's a great question, and we've had this recently. In fact, on our bilingual spaces, we talked about this. Some people really dig it. So David Bianchi, I think on his last, not his last drop, but the drop before, he did a one of four edition. There's only still four owners. So there's still value there. Who creates value? We decide who has the value. The community decides. One of another member, and I kind of went back and forth with him, but another member of the squad put out his short film as 3 chapters. He did 3 chapters and different editions, and I thought, that's nuts. He got collectors because they believe in him and they want to be a part of that community and they want to own it. I think you bring your value, and again, it's what you add. I don't think that one of 5,000, like Jason Charnick, his film went to South by Southwest. It's a beautiful documentary called Getting Over about who his father was and how his father, I'll just tell you, his father died of AIDS, was a junkie that died of AIDS. And how, as he met him later in life, he did this documentary. And he got distribution. And so he's really experimenting. When I tell you, this is not advice. He put it out as a one of 5, like a one of 1,000, I think, or 500 editions. And he's getting collectors, right? Because you know how much money he made from the distributor? So he's getting collectors. Again, that is not advice to, if you have a distributor and you've got a film, because they do own it. But that is something that he did, and he's getting collectors because they believe in him, and they want the filmmaker to have some sort of monetization of their work.
Is this also like where you could offer, or the value for your audience is in the utilities? Like, is that something that's a way of using it?
Again, we're so super new. And how value is found is changed every single day. Like I own a Goblin, which was a free mint, and it like skyrocketed to like 9 ETH when ETH was still something from a free mint, and it's like hideous. It's like they're so ugly, but it represents culture right now, especially with this bear market. And then somebody created like Goblin shit. Goblin shit was like worth like almost 2 ETH. So it's like it depends on the market, and we're all crazy early on this. But when I hear open edition for film, I think like a limited pressed album, like how much they're worth now. Like if there was only like 1,000 editions of a Miles Davis album, right? That would be worth a lot of money now, right? Correct.
But of course, why not? Can you go look at the Mona Lisa if you want? Do you own it? Do you own the Mona Lisa? On Zora. On Zora.io.
That's just one
flexing.
avenue of being able to use.
It's flexing.
The force.
Listen, look at Instagram. A blue check matters, right? Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Here's the other really cool thing. You could, what do they call it? Right-click
Right-click
save a Bored Ape. But when you decide to go trade your right-click save, are you going to get $500,000 for it? No.
But also, but for filmmakers, you know, it's the thing is like we want to know as far as, because one of our hardest things is fundraising, right? And so you want to be able to offer whoever something. I feel like I'm getting where you're going. It's like, you know, doing the one-on-one is not the only way to do it. And then there's like just, you know, like with Julie, she did hers differently, you know? And she basically raised money for a film that wasn't completed yet. She
Right,
took
that's it.
photos, you know, basically she took her storyboard, made it live, and gave it to people and sold it. So now also when these people see that moment in the film, they also own a piece of that.
And who
Well,
did that first?
our
Snakes on the
storyboard.
Plane, right? Didn't they do that with Samuel L. Jackson's Snakes on the Plane? Everything has always had, whether it's Reddit or Vine, everything has always had like this viral like moment through social media, through social interaction. This is basically what we're doing with these communities and these projects on hyper speed with a lot of crypto.
And learning, adapting, changing, and making it work for you. Because you might find a different way to make this work. And you might say, you know what? I think I want to give my people more than just the one-on-one experience. How can I do that? What can I offer? It's the same way when Kickstarter was first big, everyone wanted to figure out what they could give. And then that became expensive for the filmmakers because then you had to fulfill these promises.
Well, that's
You know?
the thing.
So these are digital.
That's a thing.
Exactly.
Do not rug people. That's why I'm saying that when you come in, it's not a cash grab. It truly, truly is. I think you have to think about what am I adding? What value am I bringing? And not just to come extract it. And, you know, at the squad, we have had no treasury. So I built this from February 2021 to February or March 2022 without a treasury, and actually still without a treasury, but we're also without a team. I finally got a partner, a startup partner in March, which is really helping us figure out what is the NFT strategy going to be for the NFT Film Squad, because I know we bring value. Because we're the original, Web3 media collective producing content on this. And so we've been spitting out alpha for a long time. But real value, and I think about this every day. What am I going to bring them tomorrow? What am I going to bring them next month? What am I going to bring them in 5 years and 10 years? What is the squad going to bring them when I'm dead? Because the squad is bigger than me. It's the collective of all, the filmmakers that are trying to build the Film 3 vertical. So I think about it. I do know that we are going to start to roll something out, but that utility is key. And that utility can't be, that utility, I think about, again, I said it earlier, I want filmmakers to be able to have sustainable livings so that we can be creative. We deserve it. We deserve to be able to have sustainable livings. We deserve to own our content. We deserve not to have bigger companies building off our backs.
And there's so many ways to do that, to incentivize as well, whether it's offering a producer credit or a walk-on role, or, you can offer the punchline. The thing is, when you're building in a community together, it's all about empowering your holder. And they really love being a part of the process because they don't have the cojones that you do to, create a film from the ground up. But you're willing to share this experience with them, and that's where a lot of value is found.
Any other questions? Yeah.
No, I just like piggybacking on that. So I was thinking the same thing. Like I could go out and take these wonderful pictures. I have some awesome films. Why does somebody care? Right? I'm not a famous person. This isn't some
Okay, so then Beeple, for instance, Beeple, in October 2020, he only sold a piece for $100. By March, he sold his 5,000 days for over $70 million. And what worked for him was his story. So your communities that gravitate towards you will fall in love with your story.
I've done a lot of Kickstarter, and that's the same thing. Everybody wants to do this. Most people just don't. So they want to be a part of it, and it kind of feels help me understand when you said that. Hey, they care because they want to be a part of your project, not because this photograph with this character.
Right.
That's interesting.
Yeah, there's an artist right now, Javon. He has his project is called a Loser Club, and it's
I'm a loser.
I'm a loser.
Me
A
too.
7-time loser. I love saying that.
I have two losers.
I rock my loser.
It's a 10K PF piece, which means that there are hand-drawn traits, and then the computer generates them into 10,000 different characters. He's the first black man who's able to cross over in that realm and was minted out and is very successful in the eyes of the space. Now, he likes to do, one of his utilities is doing these live drawing sessions. And they'll do it on Twitch, so you can see him, and they'll do it on Twitter Spaces. Now, if Twitter Spaces is rugging and people can't listen to him, like do his process and be a part of that, they're not gonna be in the Twitter Spaces. They leave, right? Because they just want that moment with him. And they create dope art together. So, and it goes back to Diana's point earlier, when you're raising money through NFTs, you don't really get to share your story or who you are on Kickstarter. Like you get to write like a little bio, a blurb, and that's it. Like this, you're interacting with your community every single day. And the fact that with the world being the way it is, with us gaining this, I guess, in a way of freedom during the pandemic, that there's more things you can do from home. There's more ways to interact and be part of a community from home. Like we realized, oh my gosh, that meeting could have been an email, So of course, when you're an artist and you have people who are spending their time, to decompress in your world that you're creating, it's life-changing.
I'd also like to add that this is where we come back to Twitter. I was an Instagram person because it was like a coffee table book, and I enjoyed it. It's beautiful.
You're putting content on there for free.
Yes, exactly. And there's that. So they're building off of your back. They built Instagram off of our backs, right? And we didn't get monetized for that. But this is where Web3 can flip that for people. But what I want to say is that Miguel was a nobody from Barcelona, and people are really excited for him because one thing, he reaches out to them through Twitter. He's always there. We do spaces 4 times a week. We have Mondays with Miguel. In fact, this Monday's our last Monday with Miguel because he's going into pre-production. But he's had the whole community rally behind him. He's worked so hard to get in communities. He's got 180 punks that have bought his NFTs. He's got like 80 apes that have bought his NFTs. It's about community. It's about building. Twitter gives you that ability to really connect, which is crazy.
And people want to see you make your dream come true. Right. I have so many NFTs that I could have sold for profit, like big profit, like my Jadu jetpack and hoverboards. I'd be on the beach right now, not having this conversation. But I want to be a part of their journey because I know what they're going to do is going to change the world. They're going to gamify the world. There's somebody that Meta is completely going to want what they've created because they're the best at what they do. Just because they don't have like a huge VC backing or like Pixar, for instance, got picked up by Disney, they're doing this all grassroots, and we as the holders are the investors. So it's like, I don't care, like with the bear market right now, I could sell it for 4 ETH and then keep the ETH or whatever, get my money, but I won't be a part of that story anymore.
That's it.
I won't be a part of that journey. And I want to be, it's like, can you imagine if you were allowed to be a part of Mark Zuckerberg's journey? or Elon Musk, like from the very beginning. You know, that's the opportunity we have in a lot of the communities in this space.
I will
And
say,
with the word on community,
no, I just want to before we jump and we can
Go
come
ahead.
back to it. I want to talk about distribution, the distribution side of this.
Okay. All right. So we'll talk about distribution, and then our next step is that we're basically going to put our mouth, and we're going to come out and be a part of your community, and come out there and talk to you, and we'll do this one-on-one, answer your questions off this stage, so that way we don't feel so far away from you and really out
Yeah.
there with you. So, all right, distribution.
Yeah. So there's, look. Let me start with the fundraising thing. Your community are not your investors. I'm going to be really clear about this. Right now, we don't know how the SEC is going to feel about it. Therefore, people are not making profit. They're just trading cards, right? We say this in spaces all the time because we have lawyers come in all the time. We discuss this a lot. Right now, we don't know what that's going to look like. So I'm not going to get very advanced and talk about DAOs and things and ways we've come up with for coming around that. But I want to say that let's say that you get to the point where it's like, I'm either making my film, or I'm doing an NFT strategy, and I am doing distribution, right? So there's a really cool, and I don't work for them, but I'm very close with them, Beam, BEEM.xyz. So on Monday, they live streamed our event. Globally, people that couldn't come to NFT NYC, they were with us, and we did panels, and they asked questions, and they felt like they were participating in community. I never got that in Kickstarter. I never was able to give that in Kickstarter. So our community globally, and then they go in our Discord, and they're talking about it. We are crushing it. We are crushing it. Not, Jordan, you're crushing it. We as a community are, because they felt involved and included, even though they weren't in New York City with us. So when I talk about Beam is a destination where you can put your film up now. My film, The Sea Is All I Know with Melissa Leo, it's on Beam. It's not an NFT film. It was not funded by NFTs, but you can go there because they are a distribution platform, right? But they're also going to do cool things like they're going to be literally live streaming in production for Galladita with Miguel Faust in Spain in September. So there's the distribution model right now is not, we are far, far away from having a purely Web3 distribution situation. So most of the films that you see that are coming out, your film, if you decide to do an NFT strategy and you raise some of the funds through your community, you're still going to be having to think about who's going to distribute it. So, and right now we're at hybrid models. There are people that are coming in, like Bingeable, will give you tools to do that. There are people that, like First Flights 3, they're out of London. They offer some of this. Entertainment, that's M-I-N-T, they literally are opening their doors now. They're going to have a distribution type of situation. They're actually going to have funding and distribution. So it's coming. It's not there yet. Maybe one of you are the ones that come in and innovate, because there's a lot of us have been around, and it's awesome that we've been around and we've been building. But it's when we bring on more filmmakers and we bring on more people and we have more innovation coming into the space that we're going to get there. And we're going to get there on distribution, where I hope one day we have a fully Web3 distribution platform, and not one that we still have to go out and say, oh yes, I have this actor that makes me bankable, but I'm already funded. But yes, you'll be able to sell it to the markets because I have this actor.
And the other thing too is, don't be afraid of names you don't know yet. Because when we were in high school, we did not know Netflix. We did not know Hulu. We did not know Vudu. So don't think, oh, what's this distribution channel? It's not. No, they basically started from where they started, with people like us, to become who they are now, where they're household names. So keep that in mind as well.
And also the power of networking through social media. Like, if there is someone you really want to collaborate with or want to ask questions, bend the ear. I know, like, we're to the point where we don't want our ears bended anymore. We like want to get paid for it by now, but in the beginning, it's like people really want to share with you. They
And they're
really
still
want to
out
see you
there.
succeed,
Yeah.
and would love to give you as many pointers as possible, because we're still all very, very early. So we kind of feel like it's our responsibility to keep the onboarding process going.
All right. So we're going to come down there to you guys if you have any more questions. Thank you so much for sticking it out. Thank you for, opening up your ears to terms you've never heard before. We might have still confused you, but, like I said, give us the information and we'll make sure you get like a lot of the baseline terminology, and we're here for you.